are the log files that we need to refer. Not only that, once we identify log file, how are we going to understand different what you call files right from a scratch or whatever. Yeah? So that's where this log files within a logging module is going to help us in order to troubleshoot MDM jobs. Yeah? So now, as we discussed yesterday, we have different types of jobs, right? If we take base object, we have n number of jobs, and if we take stage, yeah, we will have what we call stage jobs. For example, stage job for party, stage job for billing, and so on. Yeah. So after invocation of this particular job, yeah, now assuming that there is some problem here. So how are we going to identify the cause of failures? So that is where what I call we need to first identify where exactly this problem is going to be. Is this problem in the client layer or server layer or engine layer or the database side, or again within database it's a master database or ORS database and so on. So which means first we need to isolate a problem on which layer this problem has come from. So which means isolating is going to be the first and foremost thing that we need to do as part of this what I call troubleshooting module. Yeah? So now if we talk about server layer, we have what I call three types of servers, right? One is what we call hub server, second is what we call client server, third is what we call mesh server. So we have three types of servers. Yeah? Now, which means we need to go with what we call functional base. Let us say we have executed one stage job. So what does this stage job is going to use? It is going to make use of what we call client and hub server, then client server, then ORS database. These are the what I call flow of activities that would take place within this MDM hub, right? Yeah? Now, let us say while executing, which means the error is going to be, let us say we got unable to contact what we call client server, which means what would be the reason of failure? For example, let us take one simple or small ORS where we can start producing some issues and start getting them what we call fixed by applying what I call troubleshooting techniques. Yeah? Now if you look at the architecture, we are going to send a request from hub console to hub server, then on to client server, then on to what we call ORS database. That's what happens, right? Now we need to identify on which layer this error has come from. To identify that, we can run any stage job here and see whether we have any problem in this particular stage job. Yeah. So it is trying to execute. Let us see whether it is going to execute successfully or not. Yeah. If not success, we need to identify why it has been failed, right? Yeah. So this is executed successfully, which means out of n number of rows, so what do you call 6 of them transferred, 1 got rejected. So everything is fine. So rejected records anyway can be seen by using view rejects option, which is quite straightforward. But this is not the one which you are expecting, right? In the case of high level status, where we can see what we call host name followed by port number followed by clients. So as I said earlier, when you run a stage job, it is going to make use of what we call client server. Where do we have that? You can see that as part of client mass server. Assuming that I am going to make this as offline, which means due to some maintenance issues, we are trying to what we call convert this what we call client server data to what we call offline. Yeah? Now, if we try to execute this, what will happen? We should get error saying that client server is not available. Yeah? Because it is offline, right? Yeah, you can see cross mark which indicates it got failed. Yeah? And why it failed, you can see in the current status where reason for failure will be seen. Yeah? So we have plunge mass server available plunge in batch mode. So here a plunge daemon not found, because it is in offline mode, right? No plunge mass server available for plunge in batch mode. Because of this we converted to offline, so you would get this kind of error. So which means once you look at this message, then we can just go back here and check the status, and normally this part need to be taken care by administrator, which means making this to, or making this client server is offline or online. So that need to be done by what you call administrator. Yeah? So which means we need to ask administrator to bring it online after maintenance. Then we can start using it. Yeah? Yeah, so now we can see it, right? Now data has been transferred, so we could able to see the statistics over here. This is what happens with respect to what we call fixing small issue. Yeah? So we always need to come from this architecture, then it's easy to get this problem fixed. Yeah? Apart from that, let us say we go through this observer, right? So we can also get what we call observer logs. So by getting into Info MDM server logs, where we could able to see log file, which is equivalent of session log of what you guys would have seen in what we call Power Center. So this is what can be seen here. Can you see here? In case if you have any issues, we can also look at what we call why this particular job failed. But the control need to be reached to this particular hub server. Then only we could able to see the logging messages, or else you cannot see that. Previous case we have got the error because this client server was down, right? So that you cannot see because that check will happen at the beginning itself, meaning whether this particular server is available for use or not. If it is available, data will be flown from what I call with different layers. That's what happens. So this is the what I call log file which we need to use as a starting point. From there we can narrow it down to what I call the deepermost layer where we can have what I call the real issue. So that's what we need to do while identifying issues with respect to what I call MDM jobs. So this is a one way to identify this, and we'll talk about some more things. In the sense, let us say we have not got much information from this log. Now, how are we going to what we call get detailed logging messages? So that is where we have what I call different logging levels within this MDM hub, which means we can use either what I call info, verbose, debug, error, or whatever. Depending upon the kind of job that we are going to deal with, we can enable with what I call appropriate logging level so that we can start getting it troubleshooted based on that. To do that, we have what I call enterprise manager, where we can see what I call different environments, plus we also have what I call logging level changes. Yeah, for me, what happened? We are executing stage load for the data to the base object table. Yes, that's what we did, Femi. Are we discussing that means we have troubleshooting issues with MDM jobs that fail to run? Yeah, which means any job can fail, right? I was trying to show one example why what I call reason for how to identify reason for failure by using what I call this batch viewer log messages itself and other things, in case assuming that we are not able to identify issues with respect to that what I call the message of what we get from batch viewer. For that we need to enable detailed what I call to some other logging level so that you will get detailed logging messages. From that it's easy to carry out what I call analysis. So here, as I was saying earlier, so we can start setting up what we call different logging level by using or by selecting appropriate ORS database and select database log configuration, where we can see here what I call enable or disable debug. Can you see here? Debug enabled. Yeah. So we can enable this in debug mode, and then we can specify what I call path and file name, and then under which mode you want the logging messages, and followed by number of log files and log file size. So this part anyway will be there by default. Main thing here is what enabling this debug mode and file path, like wherever you want to display or send this output to any location, right? We can just specify that so that log files will be dumped onto this particular location, which is C colon output, or wherever you can specify the path and a file name where you will have what the detailed logging messages corresponding to this particular what we call ORS. Yeah? So that's what you can see as part of this. Yeah? We need to enable and specify the path and also the file name and logging level. These are the three important things that need to be supplied as part of this what we call configuration. Yeah? So once we do that, then we can invoke any job in case if we have any issues with respect to what we call ORS, what we call database, then we can get it troubleshooted by using what we call this particular file. Can you see here? This is the file which would contain what I call detailed logging messages for this particular ORS, which is cust ORS, remember. So in case if we have, let us say, other ORS, so this is not applicable for other ORS. If you go and look at here, if I say no, which means what? Anyway, this is not applicable to this particular ORS. Yeah? Bharat, actually we are starting from tomorrow, Bharat, not today. 27th July. I think today is 26th, right? Yeah. Bharat. So probably we'll have it from tomorrow. I think, yeah, some time zone issues or date issue, I guess. Yeah? So we'll have it from tomorrow, Bharat, not today. Yeah? So this is actually old batch, Bharat, and even to Gomati also. Yeah? If you want, you can just stay. Yeah? That's fine. Okay, so which means what from this what I call you can see what I call detailed logging messages for this ORS. So here SIP sample.log. So this file name is different from what we have given in this particular what I call ORS, right? So which means we can define what I call first enable, supply path, and then specify debug mode, all that. Then followed by in the bottom you can see different types of jobs, right? Yeah? Which you can see here, yeah? Where we have match and merge jobs, auto link jobs, auto merge jobs, snapshot jobs, external match, all that. In case if you want to set this logging level specific to a particular job, then we can always select it, and on the right side you can see different buttons. One indicates each logging level, separate logging level. For example, first indicates what I call all, which is a verbose, and second indicates what I call debug, and third indicates info, fourth indicates warning, fifth indicates what is the error. Out of them, by default, you will have informative messages, which means whatever messages that we are going to get it to this particular log file will be informative. But in case if you want to convert that to debug or some other logging level, we can always get it converted. For example, let's say you want to send only error messages or anonymous messages to this particular target file. For that, we are going to set this to error, so that only error messages will be sent to this particular log file. Belongs to what? ORS. Under this particular location and this point. Similarly, you can pick up any job, and here let us say warnings, display warnings, and other job let us say match tokens, let's say informative messages, and match job we can have let us say debug, and then auto promote, which we discussed earlier. Let's say complete data, which includes error messages, warning messages, or fatal messages, informative messages, and debug messages. All includes everything. You know? So then we have what I call other types of jobs like a reset links, which is reset match links, revalidate job, which is for validation rules, start clunch for clunch jobs, sync for synchronization job, which I was trying to talk yesterday when we talked about batch viewer with different types of jobs. So we can set this logging level per what I call job by using this particular what I call selection of appropriate job and say save it, so that when you run this particular job, then you can see corresponding logging messages over here. You'll get detailed logging messages. For example, let us say, I think you guys would have seen in Power Center, right? Power Center, we have different types of logging levels, right? Like we have verbose init, verbose data, and tests and info. We have 4 types of logging messages, right? Yes, sir. For example, if you select verbose data, then what do we get? You are going to get detailed data for each row, which means column name and corresponding data. For every row, you will get what I call data in session log. Yes, sir. Similarly, if you select all option here, so which is similar to what you have in verbose data. That's one simple example bridge where you will get detailed logging messages. From that, we can identify issue with respect to data or issue with respect to what I call nulls or whatever. Yeah. So that's what we have. Debug is equivalent to what I call just messages, detailed messages. For example, what are the different flow of activities that has been taken place? That you will get it here. Detail, let's say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, where it got stuck. So that you will get detailed messages, and why it got stuck. You will get that error. That's where debug will be used. And warning means what? It will just throw, in case if you have any warning messages that each job is going to throw, then you will see only those things. And error messages, it will show only errors. It will not show complete steps of what we discussed in debug. All includes all. In the sense, error, debug, plus warning and info. All of them, you would get it in what I call all, including data. So this is what need to be done in order to get detailed logging messages for the respective ORS database. Now the next is what let us understand. This is the enabling debug, right? Remember, in any issue, just to think from a broader perspective. So first and foremost thing is what? If you look at the architecture, right? Every request will be routed through what we call hub server, right? So which means we need to look at the log first from hub server, then from there we can identify where it got stuck, then go to that particular specific log and identify the reason for failure. For example, let us say it got stuck in ORS. Now we have enabled debug messages in ORS. So you will have what you call at which point this guy got stopped. Then go to that ORS and look at the corresponding logging messages and data for that particular ORS, so that it's easy to identify cause of failure for that particular ORS. So like whatever we do, right, even Power Center also, if we have very good understanding architecture, right, then it is easy to what I call isolate a problem. Whereas blindly you'll be going through some log and see what is happening. If we do that way, somehow we can fix it, but it's not a logical way to fix the problem, remember. Yeah? So we always need to correlate with architecture so that it is easy to what I call identify causes of failure. We should never ever just think only these log messages and start fixing it. Yeah? That is a blind way of fixing it. Yeah? So somehow we can fix it, but not all the cases. There are some abnormal issues. Just by looking at the log, we can't fix it. For that, you should have what we call architectural understanding. Then it is easy to troubleshoot. Not only MDM, this concept holds good for any tool. So this is starting CMX server.log, which is going to be the starting point, which is hub server log. And in case if you have cluns issues, cluns server issues, then we have cluns logs where you can see here. But mostly we don't get logging messages in cluns. So whatever we have in cluns, those things Informatica are taking care within this log itself. So CMX server log would contain cluns log, match log, as well as hub server log. But here you don't get that login messages to these servers, but here you will have only installation related what you call logging files. That's what you can see over here. So that's about server layer. And database layer, we talked about ORS, right? What if we have issues with respect to what I call database? How are we going to identify? For example, you got out of table space issue. Then what do you need to do? You need to contact administrator and start or asking them to increase the table space. Similarly, you can also ask, let's say, the issues related to what I call ORS, but it is under control of administrator. For example, unable to access this particular table. Again, you need to ask administrator to take care of such issues. Let us say third, if we have issues with respect to what I call memory corruption, in that case also you need to ask administrator to what I call set this corresponding logging level so that you can identify causes of failures. Likewise, you need to talk to other guys in order to get what I call corresponding messages. Now, let me start with what I call, what if we have environment issues? How are we going to identify issues? That is where you need to start thinking of what I call all this, like a waterall or waterall has been installed as part of this particular MDM hub environment. That we need to what I call understand first. After that, then we can easily identify, like, do we have any compatibility issues that can be what I call identified over here. So we have what I call hub server, where you can see the location where we have hub server log. Hub server has been installed. This is the location where this hub server has been installed. Can you see here? So this is the location where this hub server has been installed, and the type of database that we use it for master is Oracle. An application server that we use here is what? JBoss, which you can see over here. Can you see here? JBoss 5.11, 5.1.1. That is a version that we use as part of this environment. And application server host name is empty. Meaning of that is what? In case if the app server is installed in local, then it will be what I call empty. In case if the app server or application server has been installed in some other remote box, then you will see the host name corresponding to that particular application server. And when we install this MDM hub, right, it is going to listen onto one port number which we call RMI port number, which is remote method invocation, remember. So which means 1099 is going to be the default port number. In case if we have installed this hub server listening onto some other port number, we can specify that over here. Now we don't need to specify that, it comes up automatically because of this what I call, we have used this port number as part of installation. We can also look at these properties in CMX property file within what I call this hub server location where we have installed this. Can you see here where we have CMX server dot properties? So where you will have complete what I call key value pair of messages as part of this. Let me try to show. Like whatever we are discussing over there, right? All of them will be available here. For example, let's say installation directory, which is CMX home. This is the location where this particular hub server has been installed, and the type of database, that's the second thing, right? So which you can see here, master database type, where we have Oracle, and then followed by app server type, which is JBoss here. So that's what you can see as part of this, what I call over here. So which means in case if you want to apply tunables, or in case if you want to troubleshoot MDM jobs, we need to what I call know all these things. Oh, is the enterprise manager essentially primary tool for various properties, namely hub plans? Yes, you are right. Report the MDM one. Yeah, I'll talk about that completely. Okay, let me finish that. So, which means, yeah, what you said is right. Now, the protocol that we use is a JNP. Again, you can see as part of this CMX server.properties, which means we use this particular what I call enterprise manager properties in order to see like what kind of configuration that we have used within this particular environment. That's where this is going to help us, which means in case if we have issues with respect to environment, right, those things can be easily what we call resolved by using this initial heap size, which means by default you will have some heap size. But what is the heap size with respect to minimum and maximum that you have used as part of this particular MDM hub, which means Java options of what we have in MDM hub, right? Which means if we go and look at this in what I call JBoss environment location, where you can see Java ops. Can you see here? This is the one where you can set XMS, minimum space per heap, minimum space per maximum space per heap, and the stack size, permissible size, and maximum permissible size. So out of them you will see here what I call maximum and minimum. These are the two things. These are the two key attributes which are required in order to what we call fine-tune MDM jobs, so that in case if you have 64-bit environment, then we can have maximum heap size which can go up to 2 GB. But in case of 32-bit, which is almost obsolete, right? So we can go up to what I call 1 GB, which is 10 what I call 24 what I call megabytes. That's what it means. Similarly, we have refresh interval for SAM resources of clock text. Meaning of that is what we have talked about, security access manager, right? Through which we can protect MDM hub resources. Any change that you do by using security access manager, how are we going to take care of a refreshing part? Yeah. So which means what? Is it going to affect immediately or after 5 seconds or 5 minutes? Such things will be what I call identified, what will be given as part of this. Remember, if you change this property file like interval or whatever, right? Minimum size, maximum size, all that, right? It will be impacted over here. So if you want to make changes, you need to change in this particular property file, not in this particular hub console, because these are all readable properties. You cannot change the values over here. Yep. Similarly, user profiles clock ticks and duration with respect to clock tick duration for other than SAM, and caching part, do you want caching to be maintained, and profile expiration 60,000 milliseconds, and lookup drop down, which means how many lookup values that one can be seen within the drop down. By default it is 100. If you want, we can always change it to more than 100. That's what this is what is the property value, which is a lookup drop down limit need to be changed. Yeah? And similarly, what kind of JDK that we have used, for server as well as on the client side. In this particular environment, we have JDK 6 with update 20, and even client side also we have same thing. And from which vendor? Is it from IBM or Sun Microsystems? So which means these are the what we call different properties that we can see here. So we can use these properties to troubleshoot MDM jobs, plus we can also use these properties in order to what we call tune MDM jobs. Now similarly, same concept holds good for client server. Remember, as I said earlier, we can have n number of client servers depending upon the degree of parallelism that is required for your input data that need to be processed, and so which means we need to configure these properties for each class. For example, this particular ORS, where you can see location where it has been installed, and what you call temporary location, number of threads, which means we can configure these things as part of class server also, or you'll also have one class property file under class location where this guy has been installed, where you can just open this class property file in order to what you call change. Can you see here? This is a location where temporary files will be stored, and this is a location where class server has been installed. This is the JBoss, which is application server that we are using here, and the port number where this guy is listening to, and then we have what I call other files with respect to what I call other properties with respect to third-party quality engines. Can you see here? We have address doctor, Trillium, and enterprise class library, which is again CDQ, or first logic. In case if you have integrated this MDM hub with third-party class engines, so we can also see those property values populated as part of this MDM hub. So that's what we can see as part of this particular what we call class server property file. So that's about what I call cleansing part. Similarly, this process needs to be repeated for each and every ORS. Oh, what happened? Yeah, same process would be repeated for other. Let me just reopen this. Only two ORS, cast and sample. SAM is a security access manager bridge. Yes, we can have separate client server. One ORS can have even multiple client servers also. It depends, like affordability as well as and the kind of parallelism that is required for to process the data, and what I call number of threads that you want to use, number of external applications that you have in a production environment, and so on. There are different factors that need to be considered by what we call senior architects plus hardware guys. They need to take a decision like what is the best optimal way that we can make use of hardware. That based on that, what we call, we can have n number of client servers and match servers. I think I talked about that when we talked about where are we going to deploy this particular MDM hub. Are we going to deploy this under single host system or multi-host system, right? Yes, sir. So I think I talked about that. Let me try to recap that. No, it's not best practice, Femi. Answer is straight answer. We should not use same server for both. So I would have said this earlier. Can you see here? This is architecture. Sorry, multi-host system deployment. So which means MDM hub can be deployed under multi-host system. So we can have n number of client servers, n number of mesh servers, and corresponding engines. So this is how what you call the hardware need to be organized. Once we do that, we can get into client's mesh server and start what you call adding different client servers and mesh servers over here in order to what you call get good degree of parallelism. Can you see here? We can start adding number of clients and mesh servers by using what I call client server S, which means what only clients. If you say no here, so this particular server, let us say server 1, will be used for the clients. That too for if you want to use it for only batch operations, we can select batch. If you want to use it for both batch and online, which means real-time jobs as well as batch jobs, if you want to use it, we can always do that. And yeah, this is architecture. I think we talked about that, which is a multi-host system deployment. I think I've said that when we talked about what we call initial classes. So now the next thing is what we can start getting into. These are the different log files you need to remember. CMX server log and ORS logs, and in case if you have any client logs, we can also have it, plus database logs wherever this database has been installed, right? Yeah. Then we also need to what we call look at database logs, so that if we have any issues with respect to this particular database, we can also see logs over here, so that we can identify causes of failure for this particular database. Yeah. In this particular environment, we are using Oracle, so we can go to this particular product 11.2 logs and so on, where we could able to see logging messages. And in case if you have some other DB2, then it would be different. Yeah. So that's what we have as part of this what we call logging. Yeah. So similarly, similar steps will be repeated even for what I call mesh server. So which means we can also configure mesh server for one or more physical boxes. So in case if you want to isolate a problem under which physical box this issue has been derived, to do that, so we need to get into what I call enterprise manager and start looking at what I call environment and get the what I call different servers list and start what I call getting into that particular server and get it troubleshooted. So now we have talked about hub server properties, client servers properties for each what we call ORS, and then master database we are using Oracle 11g R2, and ORS we have two ORS databases which I was trying to talk just now, cust and sample ORS, and we can use this debug log configuration for enabling debug mode for individual jobs for all the jobs, and then we can also set this debug log for real-time jobs. Remember, that's where SIF, which is Services Integration Framework, would come in, where we are going to build web services, and in case if we have any issues while invoking such web services, we need to start selection of appropriate job and enable corresponding logging level in order to obtain detailed logging messages. And then we can see different kinds of packages that we have installed as part of this environment. In case if we have any fixed packs or any what I call version changes, all such things can be seen over here. And we have version history, which means what are all this environment contains mix of what are all the versions. So that you can see as part of this particular what you call version history. And properties where you can see each ORS, what are all the what you call the inputs that you supplied while registering this particular ORS. Yeah? So that you are going to get it from what we call this particular versioning part, which is property, sorry. Can you see here environment ID is 0, which is a local, and debug file path, debug file name, enable false, debug log level, log file size 5 MB. So it can generate 5 files, which means 5 into 5, maximum 25 MB logging messages we can have. Where do we have it? You will have it as part of this hub server installation location, where you will see different log files, CMX server 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which means each file will have up to 5 MB. So that's where you will have this. In case if you want to increase, which means have more logging messages, we can also increase this number. Where do you do that? We can do that in what I call in database log configuration, where we could able to see that. And then we have what we call file path, all that we discussed, TNS name and connection link and database ID, all that. Then load template, global no log. These are all what we call templates that we use, that we get it from Informatica. This we can just ignore. Major thing is what? Connection URL and database ID and location and log file name. These are the things that we need to remember primarily in order to troubleshoot what I call MDM jobs. So that's what we have over here. Fine. So that's about what I call logging module. So you just need to remember CMX or log. That's the important thing. And ORS log. These are the two important things. The rest of them, they're all environment issues and client issues. That's it. That's about logging part. And yeah, probably with this we'll stop today. So because today somehow I'm exhausted. So we'll meet tomorrow to extend. Tomorrow we'll meet in the evening, let's say not morning, India morning time. So we'll meet in the evening, let us say 6 p.m. IST. Is that fine to all? So we'll meet at 6 p.m. IST so that we can sit for 2 to 3 hours. So anyway, I'll drop an email so that you guys can take a look at that mail and start attending session. Fine. So we'll stop here. So we have some more modules which I need to start. Hierarchy, hierarchy manager, director, SIF, and so on. Okay then.